if a player, let's just say, Travis Etienne gets COVID. Now, I'm not putting this out in the atmosphere for a bad reason, but I'm just saying, let's just say that an important player gets COVID. Do you withdraw the entire team because they probably all had contact with him, and then the team that they just played withdraw them as well? Or is it more of like with Formula One? So with Formula One, they just had one of their more popular race car drivers, Checo Perez, get COVID. Now, Checo had been around everybody in the pit crew. He had been around all the media, but they all had masks on at the time, and they weren't playing football with each other. They weren't, tackling each other, obviously, but they were in close vicinity with each other. Now, he had to sit out and until he had a negative COVID test, until he had actually two, I believe, he had to sit out. So he actually sat out 2 weekends of races before he got 2 back-to-back negative COVID tests. So is this something where they remove one player, and as long as everybody else tests negative, then we just keep going? Or is this like dire straits, oh man, he got it, so that means he touched him. Oh, wait a minute, this guy tackled him in the third quarter. Let's take him out. Oh, wait, no, let's go get our GAs to see if he actually did. Then we're going to sign an appeal to appeal whether or not that guy tackled him or not, because the number, the 8 looked like a 6, and the 6 looked like an 8. So that guy was actually not that guy, didn't tackle him. But maybe this guy tackled him and didn't have a mask or a shield. The other guy tackled him, did have a shield. I don't know. My thought is this. You can't, it's college football. Somebody's going to get it. If somebody gets it and you decide to do a tracing thing where you sit everybody that came in contact with that guy, I can see where college football wouldn't happen, because you get one hit, it's over, because at that point you got to wait. Everybody's got to wait 2 weeks, and then the team that just played got to wait 2 weeks. So my thoughts are that.
That's a heck of a rabbit hole. And when you start chasing it, you're 100% right. Because, I mean, if you start doing it like that, there is no season. There's no way there's going to be a season. If they do, if they start doing all that, I don't know what they're going to do. I have no clue. They probably don't know, to be honest with you right now. I think the fact that they need to keep that bubble as secure as possible, so it doesn't happen, and go by all the guidelines they can. The cases have gone down astronomically over these past several days. I mean, we were just a couple of weeks ago, we were at like 2,000 cases, and today it was like 453 or something like that. So the numbers are trending in the right direction. Now, obviously, we're about to start sports. We're about to start school. Are they going to spike way back up? Maybe. I don't know. But we sure hope not, because we want to see some football. But yeah, the whole how are they going to handle it when it happens is going to be really interesting to watch. I would like to get some insight from somebody in the know, at least somebody that's had those discussions and hear what they have to say. But to me, it's one of the things where I don't know what kind of testing they're using. Are they getting to use some special test that we all don't get? Can they go to the people that touch Travis Etienne? If Travis Etienne were to get it, like you said, can they go to those couple people, give them a couple tests, in the next few days? Is that going to matter? How early they're able to detect symptoms now? I don't know. I don't know how it all works. I'm not an expert on it. As a matter of fact, nobody is.
Well,
and I think everybody's proven that nobody's an expert.
The funny thing you say that, Al, is that they just released approval for a test, for a saliva-based test that's supposed to be, I believe, like 4-hour turnaround on that thing. So they don't have to shove it to their brain and squiggle around their brain a little bit. They can just put it, do a saliva and then kind of do a quick rapid test.
Correct.
But I think that's where baseball kind of gets it wrong, in the sense that, okay, one guy gets it, then the whole team, but in some cases, like I believe with I think the Cardinals, it was like 7 guys got it. So then you kind of panic in that sense. But even still, if 7, guys got it on defense, is that the limit that you say, okay, this is panic mode for Clemson. Now we got to sit Clemson out for 2 weeks. Houston.
So what I tend to think is, the two things that we had, you had the Cardinals, which they were mostly precautionary. I think you said 7 guys. I think they could have played if they wanted to, but they were just being precautious. The Marlins had 18. That's a lot of players, and so they delayed their season. I think the other part of this is they built in this schedule to where if you have to reschedule a game, there are some weeks on the schedule that you can do that. So if you have 11, 12, 15 guys test positive, you can take some time off, play it during a bye week, and if it's a non-conference game, like against the Citadel, you can just can it. But, I think with this testing, with a saliva test, if you can get it in 4 hours, you can do this daily. You can check on it daily. Mm-hmm. And so if you're able to do it every single day and you're able to keep up with that, and you're able to know in real time that when you're going to Georgia Tech or when you're going to Notre Dame, that everybody in your crew is clean. And, if you have one guy pop up after 4 days of straight testing and he does have that, quarantine him. Don't let him go. Don't let him get anybody sick. Make sure he hasn't been in contact. And if there has been, maybe want to quarantine the 1 or 2 guys that have been in contact with him. And so there may be a couple games this year that you may have a position group like we already saw with wide receivers in practice where if Frank Latson gets something or comes in contact with somebody, then Joseph Ngata might have to sit out. That might be the case with a couple of these position groups. I think that they're smart enough to not let that happen with the quarterbacks. I feel like DJ Uiagalelei and Trevor Lawrence are probably on separate sides of campus right now just to keep them safe. But at the same time, I think they're going to create a strategy and their protocols in place to make sure that they're going to mitigate as much of this as they can if somebody were to get a single positive.
And to Houston's point, Houston and I both have been to Clemson. We both, and Alan as well, have all been to Clemson. We all, I believe, Al, I'm not 100% sure. Have you taken online classes in your undergrad? Did you take any online?
I took like 2 online, yeah.
Because I remember in Houston, I'm sure it was the same way with you because we're kind of more back to back. But for my accounting class, for example, you could watch the live class where all the regular students are there, and then you're in there in the chat room, just like you guys are watching us right now, live chat with the professor. So essentially, these players could go to a operations facility. Man, I wish Clemson had an operations facility. If only they had built an operations facility to do this. But they could go to a separate facility. Maybe if they could find somewhere to go, and then they could watch it on a computer. And then, the professor, they have like 400 cameras, 400 classrooms with cameras, I believe the email from President Clement said. So the professors can easily go from a question in class to say, hey, let's take time out, let's go check the chat room, just like we do here on the show. I mean, it's not that difficult. Now, I know that there's some problems with the NCAA. Now they want to get involved and they want to say, well, we need to treat football players the same as we treat the rest of, the student body. And I say, if you're gonna have them play football, I say let them do online. Let them sit there and watch the class from a safer place, in my opinion. But we got other people talking about in chat. And I wanted to mention this before we get to segment 3, Al. But in chat, sources saying Clemson football players were spotted out downtown, not social distancing, no masks, right? Well, this kind of leads me into something that I saw on Twitter as well. So I'm pulling it up real quick. Here is a Twitter post from Greg Byrne. He's, I believe, a reporter for Alabama. This is also something that Greg Sankey mentioned in one of his recent conversations with the media. And as you can see here on the Twitter post,